Good morning to our member community, CSL Parker, and our global family tuning in to join us. My name is Reverend Phil Tapp, and I am deeply grateful to share the principles of living a spiritual life with you. The new theme for July is Pulled by Vision, where we get to listen more deeply to the soul's call, transform pain into progress, and grow through our conditions with grace, grit, and gratitude. Here at CSL Parker, we learn how to apply practical spirituality in our everyday lives based upon the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes. He summarizes his teachings as a correlation of the laws of science, opinions of philosophy, and revelations of world religions applied to human needs and the aspirations of man. Translated, we live in a spiritual universe. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that everything we think we need is always right within us. We learn to be a student with humility and awe in the vast power for good within us and within the world. We come to understand as we walk each other home that we teach by how we live, and that how we live becomes our prayer. I now invite you to join me in invocation as we recite the sacred covenant for CSL Parker to attract our new minister. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister from my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by God, for it is written, "Behold, how good and how joyful it is for all people to dwell together in unity of mind, sympathy, love, a tender heart, and humility." As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as lovingly and joyfully embracing our community in wholeness. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring, creating, and acting as the energy of unity through love. I am illuminating and elevating the divine wisdom within all through the principles of universal truth. I am revealing the healing power of unity through divine guidance, wholeness, and love. I am lovingly and joyfully engaging and uplifting the world through the divine power of oneness and inspired action. I am expanding wisdom and growing consciousness through the shared exploration of spiritual traditions and teachings as they apply to everyday living. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will glorify God and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. And now, sit back and relax and enjoy today, beginning with what's happening at CSL Parker.
Good morning, CSL Parker. Happy 4th of July. Thank you for joining us for this very special service with Reverend Dr. Barry Ebert and his talk entitled, "We Hold These Truths." We hope you enjoy this Independence Day celebration. Don't forget to join us for the after chat at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, the sign up for which is in your email newsletter. We would also like to thank our very own Denise, Renee, Vicky, and Felina for your community outreach at the Denver Pride festivities on June 26th. Thank you for doing CSL Parker proud. Starting July 6th for 10 weeks from 6 to 8:30 p.m., Reverend Phil Tapp will be the instructor for Essential Ernest Holmes. This is a CSL accredited course that fulfills the philosophy requirement for preliminary practitioner studies. The investment is $245. You will also need to invest in 2 textbooks, the Essential Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind textbook. The registration link can be found in your email newsletter. Join us on July 7th and 21st as Reverend Phil presents Common Ground, a place for connection and open discussion. That's it. We hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. Stay safe, stay cool, and we'll see you next time.
I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. I practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. Practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. Practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. Practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. Practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I am one with God. I choose the joy of God. Practice the peace of God. I give the love of God. I
Settle in. Settle in to the power of love. a power, an energy that surpasses all else. This love is your love now. This love has always been your love. This love will always be your love and will carry you forward. The power of love is beyond measure, beyond comparison, for it is God. It is the unbounded, unconditional love that God is. And there is nothing other than God. Therefore, there is nothing other than love. You are love. You are the perfect and beautiful manifestation of love. You carry that love, that beauty with you wherever you go, whatever you do. For the love of God knows no bounds. Therefore, you know no bounds. Know that this is true. It is true for you here and now. It has always been true and will always be true. It is true for everyone you meet, everywhere you go. For the power of love is an unbounded blessing and is your blessing now. Live within that power and know that it is yours.
We're going to the land of milk and honey, where you don't need no money. Talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide, where your imagination can run free, you can realize all your dreams. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. Everything you want is already there. Whatever you desire, it will appear. Oh yeah, yeah. We'll be living in heaven here on earth, experience life for all it's worth. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. For what you believe you can achieve, let your wild horses run free. We're talking about the journey deep inside, with infinite spirit as a guide. Everything you want is already there. Whatever you desire, it will appear. infinite spirit. Your imagination can run free, and you can realize all your dreams. Talking about the journey, Let the Spirit be your guide. 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 I'm talking about the inward journey. 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 We're living in heaven here on earth. They're talking about the journey. They're talking about the journey. And what you believe you can achieve. Talking about the journey deep inside. Talking about the journey. Talking about the journey. Yeah. You don't need no money. Talking about the land of milk and honey. Everything you want is already there. We've been living in heaven here on earth. Yes, we will.
Well, hello there. It's a great honor for me to have the opportunity to talk to you today. Talk about the 4th of July. And this holiday has always been a big one for me. Big deal when it falls on a Sunday. At Mile High Church, where I'm from, we've always had a big celebration on the 4th of July. When my sons were young, they used to be a part of it. They would march in with their three-cornered hats and play the drum and the fife and do readings, do Jefferson readings and Ernest Holmes readings. That's always been very meaningful for me. And we've carried on that tradition of having the kids do the readings on the 4th of July service. And I've always liked it. Always found it very moving to hear the words of Jefferson and Ernest Holmes coming from our young people. You know, I think the science of mind is very much an American philosophy. As American as apple pie, really. I think our teaching is really built on a lot of the same principles as the principles of our country, and you know, the inalienable rights of freedom for all people. The Declaration of Independence was a bold move, and Jefferson really stated in there something very powerful in terms of principle. And we haven't always lived up to those principles, but they're a guiding light for us, and they move us forward. And I think our principles of science of mind are very similar. So I want to talk about that today, what I'm calling the American dream, a vision that pulls us forward, pulls us towards a greater expression of ourselves, towards our next kind of incarnation of our country as we come out of this time of isolation and move forward into new communities. How are we going to do that? What's really at the heart of this dream? And I think at the heart of it is freedom. Freedom is a precious gift that we have that we should never be taking for granted. And you know, Ernest Holmes talked about freedom. He said that divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law. Thus, the inherent nature of us is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. So I think our question today is, what will we do with this precious freedom of ours that we have? How will we operate in our communities, in our society with this precious freedom? One of the things that it's attributed to Jefferson that I've always loved is, the price of freedom is paid in the coin of responsibility. I always love that quote, and when I'm talking to teenagers who want more freedom from their parents, I like to give that quote to them and see what they think it means. The price of freedom is paid in the coin of responsibility. They might not always like where that question is headed, but I think it's an important one. If we want freedom, it isn't free. We have to earn it. We have to work for it. We have to be ready for it. And we have to be responsible for what we do with our freedom. Because there's a shadow side to freedom. And I think we're experiencing a lot of that shadow now. With our 24-hour news cycle and our online communications, which can be pretty nasty at times. What Ernest Holmes called the race mind or race consciousness, what everyone is thinking about, what everyone's talking about. The race consciousness of our culture has expanded far beyond what Ernest Holmes could have ever imagined. And I think that it's important that our race consciousness now is really focused on divisions, the great divisions that are in our country, the tribal divisions of politics and race and culture and geography. So that now there seems to be no American dream that really applies to all of us, and nothing that we can really share together. And so I want to talk about that some today, about how we can focus more on the things that draw us together and maybe move away from our tribal divisions. You know, when our forefathers declared their independence from England and fought the Revolutionary War, they had a common enemy. It was King George. It was Britain. It was the monarchy. And they were making a bold declaration that they were declaring their independence from the monarchy, from the king, from that imperial rule. And all the patriots banded together, and there was no turning back. Once that Declaration of Independence was stated and put forward, they had to go forward, all of them, and they had to get on the same page. And they overcame great odds to defeat the British. An amazing, amazing thing, and to earn their independence from Britain. And this is when the American dream was born. And not long after that, they had to figure out how they were going to govern this country. And that was a different battle indeed. How are we going to govern ourselves? These states that we have here. Once everybody went back to their states after the war, the time came when they had to get together and declare a constitution, write a constitution, agree on it, agree on how the country is going to be governed. And when they got together in 1787 to lay out a framework for governing the country, there were no United States. There were 13 different individual states with their own ideas and interests, colonies. They had a lot in common, to be sure, but they had a lot of differences. Different geography, different economies, vastly different ideas about the role and the power of the central federal government. There were representatives from slave states at the table and others who felt that slaves should be set free in the country. There were heated arguments, and the Constitution was barely ratified. And we're arguing about some of those same things today. One of the great things that's alive in the race mind today, the race consciousness today, is about the role of the federal government, the role of our central government. And I think it's important that we look at how we view the opportunity for us to maybe not agree on things, but move forward. A thing that Lincoln said that I think is very important for us to look at today is, he said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. He saw regional and cultural differences lead to the Civil War. I think it's important to remember on the 4th of July just how true his words ring today. It is our conflict within that is our greatest danger right now. And we have to do our part to bring this dream together and make it viable, realistic for all people now. That's what's up for us as we move forward in this time. And I believe that what we stand on right now is principle. I think principles are the most important thing that move us forward because they don't change. Science of Mind has principles, our country has principles, and they guide us, they lead us, they move us forward. You know, one of the classes that I teach is our Science of Mind 3 class, which we call Self-Mastery. There's a quote in there that I've always loved in the curriculum by Stephen Covey. And it's about principles, and about the power of principles. He said that principles don't react to anything. They don't get mad and treat us differently. They won't divorce us or run away with our best friend. They aren't out to get us. They can't pave our way with shortcuts and quick fixes. They don't depend on the behavior of others, the environment, or the current fad for their validity. Principles don't die. They aren't here one day and gone the next. They can't be destroyed by fire, earthquake, or theft. Principles are deep fundamental truths, classic truths, generic common denominators. They are tightly interwoven threads, running with exactness, beauty, and strength through the fabric of our lives. Deep fundamental truths. I believe that a guiding principle that we can stand upon today is our principle of oneness. Oneness is the primary principle of the Science of Mind and Spirit. I can remember when I was in ministerial school, I had to write a paper, and I chose the topic of the theology of religious science. And I went to our senior minister at the time, Dr. Fred Vogt, and I said, I'm writing this paper on the theology of religious science. What kind of insight can you give me on that? And he said, well, I think that's going to be a pretty short paper because we don't really have a theology. And then he said, if we do have a theology, it's oneness. Our theology is oneness. There is a universal intelligence, a universal wisdom, and we are all connected to it, all of it. It's bigger than our man-made divisions of politics and culture and economics and race and geography. This oneness that we speak about, it's bigger than all those things. And we need to remember it and stay connected to it. To not only have it be a part of our thinking, but a part of the way that we operate in lives. To cross party lines, to cross social lines, and to learn more about the people who we seem to be in conflict with. We can do that when we remember that we are all connected to the one heart, the one mind. Emerson called it the oversoul. Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. Jesus called it the Father within. Whatever it is, we're all connected with it. All people, all tribes. One of Ernest Holmes' sayings was, there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. In this time, I think it's important to remember that there is a power for good in the universe and it can use us. It can operate through us. It can express itself through us and solve problems through us that seem to be unsolvable with our human minds and our human actions. We want to open to that. We want to open to the divine mind. Get ourselves out of the way and let Spirit use us for a higher good and a higher expression. How can we make ourselves available to that? I think that's the question today. To build the communities that stand on the principles of oneness. Now is the perfect time for that because we're coming out of isolation and moving to create new communities in our churches and centers and in our neighborhoods and in our country, to move past our divisions. This is what held this country together in the beginning when it was so close to falling apart. What held it together was the power of compromise. Compromise in our time has come to be seen as a weakness, as a lack of loyalty to the party. But it's bigger than that. It's a loyalty to something greater. It's a loyalty to something more important. I think that's what's important today as we celebrate our freedom. You know, I get the opportunity to teach the Bible at our church and other places, and I've always loved the wisdom of finding there. I never pictured myself as a Bible teacher, but here I am. And I especially love the teachings of Jesus, which are such a big part of our Science of Mind philosophy too. In the Science of Mind textbook, there's a center section that's all about the teachings of Jesus, and Holmes talks so much about Jesus and the parables and the things that Jesus said. And it was a big part of Jefferson's philosophy as well. And there's a story that's recorded in the Gospels, in the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They all have this story about Jesus being asked a very political, a very tribal question in his time. He was out teaching, and some men came up to him and asked him a question, and they were trying to trick him. In the time of Jesus, the Jews, his tribe, were under the authority of the Romans, and there were many people, many Jews who wanted to overthrow the Romans violently, to have an uprising and to claim their freedom. They'd done it before and they wanted to do it again, and they wanted Jesus to lead them. There were other people who wanted to maintain the status quo. And those sides were in conflict with each other. And there was a lot of politics. And there was a lot of infighting. And one of these men came up to Jesus and complimented him, said, "Boy, you're such a great teacher. You're so wise and so just. And we just wanted to ask you a question. Is it right for Jewish citizens to pay tribute to the Romans?" And he knew it was a trick. He knew it was a trap. He could see it. And this is what he said. He said, "Let me have one of those coins. And whose face is on this coin here?" And they said, "Well, that's the emperor's face, Caesar's." He said, "Well, give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and give to God the things that are God's." What an answer. What a brilliant answer to a question, to a trick question that was trying to trap him. And said they were amazed. They walked away. I've always loved that story because we find ourselves in these tribal situations so many times. And it's how our freedom descends into shadow when we break ourselves into ideological tribes against each other. And I think what he said that is important to me today is we should do our duty as enlightened citizens of this country. We should have our loyalty to the party. We should make our opinions known. Be a part of the process because it's important. But we should give to God our heart and our soul and our mind. This is where it belongs. This is important. We don't want to settle for the cheap drama of politics. Now is not the time for that. If we're going to move this American dream forward, and everybody is going to be having access to it, this is the time for us to render under God the things that are God's and to seek spiritual solutions to the problems that are in front of us. Another thing I think that's important to remember about our teaching is that it's affirmative. Teaching of science, mind, and spirit is an affirmative teaching. We pray affirmatively. We believe that prayer, true prayer, is affirmative. And we do our best to bring an affirmative attitude to life. You know, a couple summers ago, I got the opportunity to go out to a place called Asilomar on the Monterey Peninsula. And it's been a gathering place for religious science communities for years, for many years. Amazing place, a very spiritual place. And Ernest Holmes used to lead gatherings there every summer. People would come from our communities all over the country to gather there. It just became kind of that central place where we could all gather. And I got to go back, and it was kind of a reunion. And I think it's important now to see that our communities are preparing to have another central place up in Oregon. And we're gathering together to make that happen. I'm very excited about that we're going to have a place for our children and our adults to gather on a regular basis and to move this teaching forward. But anyways, I was out there a couple of years ago, and it was a bit of a homecoming for lots of people who hadn't been there in a while. And all of the speakers touched in on Ernest Holmes' final talk at Asilomar, which has come to be known as the Sermon by the Sea. And in this talk he gave in 1959, he was talking to the religious science community around him. And it was the last time that he got to address a group at Asilomar because he made his transition the next year. But part of what he said in his Sermon by the Sea is the way our organization should be moving forward, what we can actually bring to the world. This is part of what he said. It would be wonderful indeed if a group of persons should arrive on earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be the highest good for an organization, wouldn't it? Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of their soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being. It seems like a tall order, I know. But what a way for us to move forward right now. To be for something. To be for something. There are a lot of voices that are against things right now. It's an opportunity for us to work the other side of the street. To be for a reconciliation of our differences and for building communities that truly are inclusive and allow people to share ideas and thoughts. It's a big job right now. It's a big job because of the consciousness of where we are, the consciousness that surrounds us, so much division around us. But we can stand on our principle of oneness. We can be for something. I think one of the things that we can be for is moving from I to we, to expand our ideas of who's included, to move from I to we. To be socially active in a way that supports our communities growing stronger, more aware, more open, inclusive. That's what's up for us now, to be for something, to be for building stronger communities. What a great place to raise our children in communities that are truly inclusive and truly supportive. Our children are watching us to see what it's like to be a grown-up in the world. They're watching us. And I think we can be for that. Our principle of oneness, I think we return to it. Give unto God the things that are God's. There's so much available to us. We have so much in this country. So much freedom, so much good, so much economic strength, so much power. And our greatest danger is from within, as Lincoln said. And our greatest gift is from within as well. Let us celebrate our freedom in this time, this 4th of July. Let's celebrate it. Let's include everyone in it. And let's affirm and know the best in ourselves. I want to leave you with this quote from Marianne Williamson. Our freedom is not guaranteed by the Constitution. The only thing that guarantees freedom, ultimately, is our commitment to it. That commitment must include our capacity to love each other as human beings, to remember we are brothers and sisters on this planet, and to surrender to God any thoughts to the contrary. Any thoughts to the contrary. We surrender those to God. I wish you a happy 4th of July celebration. Let's pray together. Almighty God, creator of all things, we open our hearts and our minds to this sacred moment, and we do give thanks for your power in our lives. I affirm and know that the divine circuits are open in us. That you might inform our thoughts, that you might open our hearts. That you might bring your light into our lives. And I give thanks this day for this amazing country of ours, which is an idea in the mind of God. Precious idea. Precious dream that freedom is the way that people can live together, honor each other. The freedom is indeed God ordained, the greatest gift that we can have. I give thanks for it. We commit ourselves this day to being responsible to ourselves, to each other, to our communities, and most of all, to God. I give thanks for this beautiful teaching that affirms our freedom, not only as individuals, but encourages us to bring our lights into the world and to serve. So I bless each person within the sound of my voice this day. I give thanks for your commitment to your own growth, for the difference that you make in the world. We commit ourselves to the unfolding of Spirit in our lives. We commit our communities to growth, to a tighter connection with the Spirit that created us. I release my word on the wings of love and law. And I affirm the blessings that will reign on each of us and on our beautiful country in ways that we could never imagine. So it is.
And now I'd like to invite you into a personal investment called Sacred and Faithful Giving. knowing that there is an infinite flow of prosperity and abundance that is operating in and through us at all times, no matter our present circumstances, we open to expand our consciousness of acceptance by giving with a grateful heart. When our souls are fed by the practice of giving in this way, we can be certain that our gift blesses both the giver and the receiver many times over. We receive and appreciate your gifts and tithes. Thank you for supporting us to remain a vital and thriving center in which to find your spiritual nourishment. For your convenience, we provide you with various ways in which to make your donation. You can donate on our website, www.cslparker.org/donate, or via Zelle. Or if you are more comfortable, you can mail a check to our office location. I invite you now to affirm your prosperity through the power of your word by saying this with me. I attract all good things into being. The power of my faith enhances my experience of health, relationship, finance, fulfillment, passion, purpose, and joy. The creative source in my life is in a constant state of perfection, freely giving itself as my bounty. And so it is. We're glad you're connecting with us today. Together we raise the vibrational energy of love and connection. And now, our offering song.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Take it away, Richard. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. And now for the final benediction. As we go forth from here today, I declare and know that the highest and greatest truth comes to pass for all of us, and it is that of Spirit working in, through, and as each and every one of us. There is a vision that exists for each and every one of us, and I declare that the soul that is calling to, through, in, through, and as each of us, the call is able to be heard, and as a result of that, this vision that we now have is beginning to come to pass. I declare this to be the case for each and every person here and for our center as a collective as well. The vision that we have for a new minister is coming to pass right now in this moment. So for this, I'm grateful that we have this shared collective vision, and I affirm that whatever it is that your vision happens to be, that it is a blessing. It is a gift to you from the power of Spirit, the power of the divine order working in you. You are blessed. You are a blessing. All is well. And with this sense of gratitude that I have deep in my heart right now, I know that any difficulty that manifests in the form of a condition that is in opposition to my vision or to anyone's vision merely becomes the way by which we build the grace, grit, and gratitude that Spirit has in store for us with the gifts that the vision brings. We are blessed. It is so, and so it is.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under. It's love